Hi, everybody. Welcome back. A little different this time, right? Like that. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode
Pep in your
of
step.
The Universal Lens. Sounds sexy. I'm John Emilio. Had to think of my name for a second. Along with Henry Belcher and Anthony Lisi.
4 pounds lighter.
I am a few pounds lighter and 50.
Hey,
Big 5-0.
My buddy got me his T-shirt today. I like it.
nice.
Oldometer. My play on my passion for vehicles
Yes.
and turning 49 to 50.
Yes.
And he got me a roll of toilet paper also.
Oh boy. Oh.
That's a guy who had his finger on my pulse.
Yeah, but you
He
know what?
understands.
He's got a history with me.
He also has a cheat code.
Who?
His wife.
He said he did it himself at the mall.
Congrats, because
Nah, but Dre knows.
talking about
My buddy John.
Dre.
Yeah, he's known us. He's known me for years.
Taylor is the gold standard for gift giving.
Is she really?
You won't find a
Look at that, Taylor. You got mentioned on
100%.
a
Yeah, Taylor,
major
I hope,
podcast.
I hope she hears
one.
this. She is amazing. It's like she remembers every detail.
And yet she married Dre. No, what are you kidding?
Sorry, yeah.
Anyway, so thanks, buddy. Anyway, just want to show off the shirt. It was my birthday last week, so thank you for all your birthday wishes. Anybody who's watching that I received, I appreciate it. And that's it. Back to business.
Back to business.
Back to business. So everybody had a nice. Hope everybody had a nice week, and enjoyed their weekend. And let's get back to talking about the things that people want to hear about. No, not sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm talking about the stuff that we like to talk about.
All right.
The things that could change
sex, drugs, rock and roll. Or his sex, rock and roll.
Why am I drugs? Why am I always drugs?
Why
Just
not?
give me the sex one. All right. Let me be the sex one.
That's an easy one for you.
Give him something.
Anyway, so we had a topic that we wanted to talk about. Actually, I had written it down a few weeks back, and before the show, we were kind of talking about it, and we said that'd be a nice thing to discuss, and it was the subconscious mind and how it.
I love it.
You love it, and how it gets wired by our daily inputs, right? By what we put in, right?
Right.
Remember that old adage when we were kids: garbage in, garbage out. That does hold true. Garbage in is garbage out, because if what you're feeding your mind is negativity all the time, or just, toxic information, or, like I said, negative thoughts and a deflating ego, things like that, that's what it's going to, that's the story it's going to create for you. That's going to be like, well, this is what this person likes, so this is what I'm going to give them. And the analogy I kind of had was it works like a Nest thermostat. So anybody who has a Nest thermostat knows how they work. Nowadays, they're auto scheduling, means
Learning thermostat.
Yeah, it's a learning thermostat, right? So you could create a schedule if you wanted to, but their main feature is set it and forget it. So you set it at 7 o'clock in the morning, 71 degrees, right? It sits there. Now you go back at 4 and you crank it up to 72, 73. And you do that one, and it'll kind of start playing with the temperature itself. But the more you tweak it, the more it starts to learn your patterns. And then it starts to, all of a sudden, 6 o'clock in the morning, after 4, 5, 6 days, it's at 70, 71. Then at 4 or 5 o'clock, it goes up to 72, 73, where you wanted it. But what it doesn't do is understand sometimes that might not be the right temperature that you actually want. It says this is what John or Anthony is always put in. So this is what I'm going to spit out to them, because this is it. This is the input I've been getting from him. So I'm learning quietly in the background, and here you go. Here's what you want. But what if this isn't actually? What if I actually want it to be 68 this day, right? Or do I just accept the 71 and go, oh, okay, I'll just sit in my house and sweat my beans off? Or do you go and do you adjust it? So your subconscious mind kind of works the same way. What you put in is what it starts to learn and give back to you Now, it's not what you put in. It could be the environment around you, right? People around you, school, teachers, parents, friends.
That's correct.
Media, news,
Great analogy.
social media. And what it puts into your mind is what your mind's going to put back out.
Yep.
Right? So it's not about not being around that stuff or avoiding it, because you can't avoid negativity and stuff, but it's about realizing that if there's a lot of it around you, your mind will quietly absorb it and maybe try to make that your base program that it's going to start pushing out. So the more you surround yourself with that and you speak like that and act like that, and that's what you put in, the more that's what it's going to put out.
You ever hear the saying that you are an average of the 5 people you hang out the most with, or something like
I've
that?
actually heard
And I
that.
was
Yes.
just going to say something like that.
And that
Yeah.
applies. So that is very similar. It's a very parallel concept. And I would say, if you're missing out on this hack, it's a life hack. If you're missing out on this life hack, well, stop and don't miss out on it anymore. Because really, again, listening to Bob Proctor was a big one on this. That was everything he used to say. Is basically, you have the ability to program yourself, basically.
Yes.
In a nutshell. And Scott Adams also says this. Wait a minute.
Big on that.
If your subconscious is how you are going to see your reality, so then feed your subconscious good stuff, or feed your subconscious things that you want to manifest, things that you want to make happen, as opposed to have somebody else author your subconscious. I don't want to have anybody else author my subconscious. So I very carefully curate what I put in my subconscious, right? I don't watch MSNBC. No offense to any MSNBC watcher, but you can see how watching any news really incessantly gives you some bad,
a bias towards one direction.
right? And gives you just, when you're at the end of the day, gives you a weird,
Be a juju.
yeah, it's a weird
Sorry.
lens on reality.
Yeah.
It's not reality.
And there are people that can't control that in their mind. They take it for reality and they get angry
100%.
and they just shut down from it. Like I said, I've had friends that just completely don't watch the news anymore.
Correct.
And they'll be like, oh, when did that happen? Well, they'll send me a news article that's 5 days old. Like they just hit their feed or something like that. I'm like, bro, that's old news,
Yeah, I mean, I have people saying, Hitler's coming to power, and you're like, oh my God. And that's because their subconscious has been fed this information.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a part of you that agrees with it. So then it looks for more so it could feed that. And what ends up happening, you get into this, you don't know it, but you keep going down in these trenches, and your subconscious is being used for that. And I say, use your subconsciousness to really help you manifest and reach your goals that you wanted to reach, do the things that you want to do in life, as opposed to being a victim of your subconscious, where somebody else is programming that for you, whether it be the TV, the internet, negative people around you, or people that don't offer you anything positive. So every time you see them, it's because, oh, bro, you want, the complainers, Scott Adams has a name for them. He calls it energy vampires.
Energy vampire. I've actually heard that. Yeah, energy vampires, and that's a real thing, by the way. That's not like just a made up name. That's,
correct.
That's an actual thing.
Surround yourself with negative people, and sooner or later you'll become negative. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, you'll either become negative, or your subconscious will start. And if you don't have that awareness, your subconscious starts pumping that out to you. And like you just said, right? I think he's 100% right with that point. That's what you end up becoming. But if you have the awareness, you could see it happening, and you could choose to sidestep it.
Like those people won't even realize how negative they've become, because you know why? They're just joining the conversation with the other 5 people, and everybody's just bitching and complaining and being negative. And
but that's the unfortunate part of society in general is you have a lot of that out there now, especially nowadays. You have a lot of that out there where your subconscious, where they're quietly feeding whatever, just negativity in general and chaos, and the world is this and the world is that. And I'm not saying the world is in a great place right now, but the more that they push that message out, the more people are going to believe it, the more it sits into their subconscious mind. And now they start looking for reasons in their community, in their neighborhoods, in their life, why the world is going to shit. So what chance does the world have not to go to shit if everybody starts believing it's going to shit? Because that program that's being fed to people, right? And we use the word program because it's relatable and you kind of understand what we're trying to say, right? When we say program, it means, data in, data out, right? Input in, and what we input, you get your output. Garbage in, garbage out. So we like to use the word program, not like some matrix thing, even though that could be, we don't know.
It's true.
It's true, right? But
excuse me 1 second.
Yeah.
Can I come right back?
The reason we say that is because it's what we put into our minds, like I just said, is what we get out. and our subconscious mind learns quietly, right? So you could, like you just said, and I think that's great, like Bob Proctor and guys like Tony Robbins, and you mentioned somebody else?
Oh, Scott Adams, but
Scott Adams, right, with energy vampires and stuff like that. They all kind of talk about that in a major way, saying, hey, pay attention to what you're putting into your mind.
100%.
Pay attention to the inputs you're putting in. Pay attention to the inputs that you're not putting in, but are being
put in for you
by your surrounding environment, right? And you had mentioned before the show, like that Tony Robbins.
You sent a clip around.
Yeah, a while ago where he was talking. It's a famous podcaster, that guy. I don't know who
Theo Vaughn, I think.
Theo Vaughn, that's his name. With Theo Vaughn, I'm so bad with names. And he had asked him, if I told you to look around the room in that Tony Robbins voice, if I told you to look around the room, right? If I look around the room, that's not bad. And pick out things that are red. And he would look around. He goes, okay, now pick out things that are blue. And he picked out things that are blue. He goes, I bet you when you were looking around the room, because you wanted to pick out something red, so like it was so important for you to pick out that red thing, you picked out some colors or things that were bullshit. Like they weren't red, they were brown, they were maroon. But just so you could make it sound like, hey, I found something red, you called that thing out in your mind. He goes, and your mind does the same thing with negativity, with toxic, toxic thoughts or toxic input. It's the same thing. The more you surround yourself, if that's what you're quietly telling your mind to look for, your mind's going to, so your awareness is going to be in the forefront, paying attention. In the background, it's working and you don't even know it's there. Now it starts to find things and calls them out to you. And if you don't have any awareness, now as it calls it out to you, do you believe it? Do you believe that input? Same way, like, hey, I want my temperature at 71 degrees. And my nest goes, no, but John, you like it at 73 at 4:30. I'm going to crave. Do I go, okay, yeah, I like it at 73. Or do I go back and go, no, I like it at 71. I'm going to make the choice to say, this isn't in line with what I value as a temperature, just using that as an example, and I'm going to crank it back down. As opposed to, okay, every time you say okay and you just, oh, yeah, that is right, the world is going to shit, or this is horrible, or I am the worst, or this is the worst, or I can't believe this is happening, and we're human, and that's going to happen to all of us. Look, I experience that, if not daily. I mean, I do experience that often enough. If I don't pay attention to that, I'm going to get hooked by it, believe it, and then I go for a ride with it. And now I start amplifying that because I'm actually telling my subconscious mind, yes, thank you for that information. I believe it. I'm giving it credence. I'm giving it energy. Or if you don't, it might still want to pump that out, but quietly it's going to learn also that, okay, this isn't as important to John, right? John's got new inputs he wants to put in here.
Yes.
It doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's where people get frustrated.
Well,
like, I want to think positive. Go.
Well, let me tell you.
Let
me tell you. Don't let that actually flip that on his head, because instead of feeling frustrated, this is the one practice that you can actively do every second of the day, every moment of the day. You need to notice what your inputs are.
Absolutely.
And if you do that, you're really going to feel a palpable change. And let me give you one good one. This was for me. Just a week ago, we set our clocks back, right?
Yes, which I hope they stop at some point. But yes.
So by doing that, if you notice, it gets dark very early. When it gets dark very early, we tend to feel more depressed because it's so dark. We want to see the light.
Oh, yeah. It's seasonal depression, they call it.
And I recall, when I was younger, that would completely captivate me because it would affect my mood. And then I would go kind of the way of the sun. Yeah. And that, of course, I had no idea about
back then you didn't know.
No idea about anything. But I carried that with me to the point that, every year when it gets dark early, you kind of get this poke which says we should feel like pretty sad and depressed right about now. Up until I discovered curate your inputs, curate the stuff that goes into your subconscious so that your output is a positive one. So independent of true or independent of false. For example, is it true it's dark out? Yes. Is it true it's gloomy out? Well, No.
No.
That
Gloomy is...
that doesn't mean true.
No.
Right? It's dark, yes. Gloomy, sad, depressed. No. But it is dark outside. That I'll give you.
You don't have to enjoy it or like it. No.
So if you're able to really focus on your inputs, you will be surprised at how this can affect you. So now, today, fast forward to today, it's getting dark out. Okay. It doesn't affect me the way that it would affect me in the past. Right now, I don't care if it's dark out. Right? It doesn't affect me. My inputs are in such a way where I'm good. I'm good because I have a positive mindset. It's okay. It's dark. Yeah, it does suck. Yeah, sucks. That's it. That's as far as it goes.
Because that's as far as you allow it to go.
Right. It sucks. Yeah, I agree with you. But if you want to sit here and harp on how that sucks, and you want to sit here and go, oh my God, I remember.
Sure, absolutely.
And I received a phone call that day. That's when my uncle Alfresco died. Like, okay,
so here's a good one. So every year around this time of year, unfortunately, we've had things, not every year, but things have happened in my life, and a lot of times they've happened this time of year. I lost my father-in-law this time of year. When my OCD started, it was this time of year. My tinnitus started this time of year. So I've had happenstance, things happen this time of year. I've also had phenomenal things happen this time of year. But my mind pays attention, or wants to pay attention, I should say, to the negative. My subconscious mind wants to pick on, this happened to John, this happened to his family, this happened.
The road.
It bypasses.
The road most traveled.
So it's looking for the red, and it's calling the brown red, the burgundy red, but it's not looking for the blue or anything else that it would want to look for. Because yes, fact, things have happened in my life during the holidays. Fact. One of the most joyous time of the year for me is, as far as like I love the fall into the early winter. I love this September, October, November, December into Christmas season. Always have as a kid, and I still do. I still enjoy it. Fact. But my mind always wants to say, if something does happen, look at the one that happened. It wants to create, my subconscious mind wants to create a story about it, because these things have happened at a certain time, and they were, traumatic. They weren't fun. They were things that were tough to deal with, whatever. I understand that. But at the same time, if I allow it to, it'll create a story where this is what, like, it's going to say, this is what my story has to be. This is how my story is going to go. Or I can say, but look at all the great things that have happened this time of year, right? So do I want to leave that input at the dial that my subconscious mind wants to say it is? Or do I want to change that input on my own and say, but yes, you're right. You're all saying it should be 72. It should be 72, but I like it at 71. You know?
You author it.
I author it. Yeah, I author it, right? So I mean, that's what you were saying with the seasonal stuff, like with when the lights go out and stuff like that. But I think it's the same exact thing, right? With this, like this is like you said, when you were younger, it would bother you that time of year, and now I say, well, these things have happened this time of year, right? But what about all the great things that have happened this time of year? Yeah. But my subconscious mind wants to just, like fly right over it because. Yeah. That's what it does.
It was the old road.
That was the inputs. And when those would happen to me, there was a story around it that I formed. I really cemented those things in. So your subconscious believes, okay, so anything happens, this is when it happens. This is our luck. And like, if people go, this is my luck, this only happens to me, because you've wired it into your subconscious mind when things have happened, and shit happens to everybody in life.
Yep.
Right. Do you want to believe that? If you believe it, okay, I'm not saying everything comes to fruition, but if you believe it, you're going to look for things that are going to make you believe even more that that's true. Even if it's something that, well, that's really not a bad thing that happened to you. Oh, it only happens to me. It always happens to me. So you've created the story.
You set yourself up.
You set yourself up to believe that this only happens to me, right? Oh, this only happens this time of year, or, every time the sun goes down early, and I'm always going to be So do you have the ability to change that? Absolutely. You have the ability to rewrite your subconscious. But like we were saying before, it doesn't happen overnight. Like you can't expect to go, I want to think positive. Okay, that's great. You can have that awareness to want to focus on positive thoughts, but you have to understand that programming that's in the back of our minds at our subconscious level does not get rewritten overnight.
Bro, that's what I've been fighting forever. You tell yourself that you want to be positive. I just want to be positive. I just want to constantly go into a situation with a positive attitude. But there's that annoying feeling behind you where it's just hard to, like you said, it's that subconscious.
I think it's just work. It's daily. I'm sorry, I gave it the wrong name. It's not work. It's a practice. I call it work because they say do the work. But if you just language, you have to use if you practice it daily, you'll realize that. So exactly what you just feel. Imagine I used to describe myself as an anxious and depressed person. Okay, so by those descriptions, you already kind of understand
who wants to hang out with you,
where my headspace, right?
Yeah.
So imagine I said it gets dark early. Well, now imagine we woke up and it's morning, but it's a gray, gloomy, rainy. Usually that sets the tone for whoever's looking at the weather. Most people are gray, gloomy, weird, dreary. So like if I'm alone, I'm alone. But if I go into a situation, let's say I'm going to the office and all the people around me want to tell me, oh, what a gray, gloomy, do you see the weather? Oh, you got it all the time, right? If you step into an office, step into somebody's house, whatever. Oh, I hate this.
I hate this weather. I hate this weather.
I counter your negativity with something positive. I will make sure, because my programming is calling for it.
Can I guess what you say?
Sure. I don't even know what I say, but
I thought you had a standard thing.
No, I'll say something positive.
Well, it's not snowing.
I'll try to. So if you go ahead and you give me a negative.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll try to get the seesaw back up by giving you a counter with the positive.
Yeah. It could be snowing, which is worse.
It could be snowing, right? Or anything else. Be like,
could be downpouring.
What a horrible day it is. Yeah, but you're alive.
Mm-hmm.
You're above ground. We're here.
And when you say that to some people, it snaps them out of it, and they'll be like, "Well, you know what? You're right." A lot of times, they catch themselves on how negative they are.
Now, granted, that was a bit too much, but you could do something like, oh yeah, it's a dreary. Yeah, but you know what? We've been really dry lately. There's no rain.
So that would be a good positive spin.
So I'll take whatever moisture comes our way.
So I believe, at least, that really works is when you give them a positive spin on the current situation and not so much it's better than, or because that's a comparison and that's another trap, right? That's I'm thankful that my life is the way it is. I can only, I'm thankful I'm not suffering like that person. You're really not grateful or thankful at that moment, and you can't. Your subconscious mind doesn't get tricked by stuff like that either. I don't believe it does. But when you because what you just did, what'd you do? Your famous word.
Reframe.
You reframed. It's pouring outside. Yeah, but you know what? We haven't had rain in a while. It's okay. We could use it.
Well, I guess if comparison is,
I think it hits home. You show the person how to take this negative that their mind has given them and flip it. We're not telling you to be positive, but to flip it to say, it doesn't have to be this horrible gray, gloomy thing that's happening in your life. It doesn't have to be. You get to look at it through different glasses if you want to. Your subconscious mind want to tell you, because you've lived your whole life with this, it's raining, or it's gloomy, or it's gloomy, or it's gloomy, or it sucks, or everything sucks, the world sucks, life sucks, work sucks, my family sucks, my wife sucks, my mother-in-law sucks, my kids suck, everybody sucks, my team sucks, the Giants suck, everybody sucks, everything sucks. Yeah. What do you expect to come out of your mind if that's what you think, right? Yeah. Like, oh, wow, it's raining. We could use the rain. No, fuck, it's pouring today. I was supposed to go play golf later this afternoon. Just my luck. Like, that's what your mind will do. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just going to make a statement. Comparison, they say comparison is a thief of joy.
Yes.
You're also not going to get joy from comparison either.
No.
That's the opposite way.
Yeah, that's very true.
So
absolutely, 100%.
I think,
because of what you said made me think of that. You're not going to get the joy out of comparison either,
So
it's a fool's game.
Absolutely. I have to call ourselves out in the sense, us three. If we're obviously we're not with each other 24/7. So when we're
speak for yourself.
Well, you might be. Well, in the event you're not, and you're in a room where nobody else is aware, and you're getting this feedback, be the aware person.
Be the beacon. Be the beacon of light.
Be the aware person, and they might not even know what you're doing. Matter of fact, I guarantee you nobody's gonna know what you're doing. But the minute you interject that positivity, it's gonna reverberate. You're pushing back on the negative forces of nature. I hate to sound very mystical, but the negativity needs that pushback, because otherwise all we did was put negativity in our subconscious and accept for somebody else to frame what a shitty day it is. And knowing a little bit about yourself, that I would describe myself as anxious and depressed. I don't need much negativity.
You're already there.
I'm already there. So if I enter again, I go to the office, and somebody wants to give me some, I always shoot back something positive to counter that negativity. Now, if it's not negative, God bless. I'm like, you're good for you, awesome. But in real estate, there are times where you don't have a customer, and it's hard, and you're not getting one.
Isn't it nice to always be around people who are happy, though? Wouldn't you rather be around people who are in a good, just in a positive, good mood,
100%,
rather than people who are consistently negative? It's just, listen, I know people who are always smiling, always on the positive side of things, always, in a good, positive mood. And I just love being around those people. I can think of somebody right now who everyone loves to be around. And, of course, the guy's got problems in his life, just like everybody else. He doesn't drag it in or anything, but he's always got a positive side to things, and he doesn't let anything drag him down into negativity. And everybody likes being around those kind of people.
And we might be that person for somebody else.
Oh, we might be the other person.
You know what I mean?
Hopefully not the negative person.
Right. Hopefully not. But hopefully we can balance out that negative, positive counterbalance.
I was that negative person.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
admittedly,
consistently,
right.
But
because we know that,
I was actually always a positive person when I was, so up until what happened, I was always like YOLO, you only live once. That was my motto in life. Like, nothing could bring me down. That could flip very quickly on you too.
Oh, sure.
A lot of times people could be challenged, but not challenged to the point where it flips that script. But when you get challenged to the point where that script gets flipped on you, do you have the wherewithal, the awareness to understand that, and understand that you don't have to be positive right now? You don't have to be the bright ray of sunshine. You're going through shit. You're allowed to go through shit, but you don't have to go through negatively either. Like with, oh my God, this is the worst. Oh my God, this sucks. Oh my God, this happens to me. Oh my God, this happens to me. And again, we're all human. This happens. I think we all fall victim to this occasionally. Yeah. But if you have that awareness, you catch it as it's happening, and you could shift out of it. But I was look, when we started playing, when you said this guy's got his shit together, I was a super positive. I was always like, no worries, we'll get it done. We'll take care of it. It's okay. Yeah, this happened. It's all right. No problem. No, but it was almost like I would push negativity. Like, it wouldn't be able to come near me because I was so positive. But that's unsustainable too, right? You can't be, as positivity is great, but you can't be, I think the person who walks around always here, I'd be on guard also, be like, okay. Oh,
right.
Like, well, where's your balance? Extremes. Hold on. Where's your balance? Like, when shitty things happen, how do you process that shitty thing that's happening? Do you make believe it's not happening? Because that's repression, right? So even like there, it could I'm using myself as an example where I was this always like YOLO. You only live once was my way. Like, you only live once. I'm gonna do it. I don't care. You only live once. Until something happened to me that I couldn't. How do I use positivity to get myself out of this? I couldn't. It wasn't going to work. It was just, the more I tried to be positive, the more my mind would go, yeah. And that's maybe an OCD thing, or anxiety thing, where your mind then plays this game of Pong with you and says, okay, this is what you want to think, John, right now, but look, this is what I'm going to give to you right now. Pop.
I can see that as an OCD thing.
Maybe those positive people don't have as low of valleys, maybe. They do have valleys, but maybe they're not low. Maybe they're very acceptable people too, and they just go.
I think that's a per person basis. Yeah, that's an individual basis.
Anybody goes, that sucks, and then they move on with it. They accept that something sucks, and they just move on.
There's definitely people like that. Yeah, there's definitely people.
The person I'm thinking of is exactly like that, except he's positive most of the time, and then shitty things happen, and he just accepts them as being shitty for that moment.
That's good.
And he's just like, that sucks, man. And he's done with it. I envy that. I really do. I envy the fact that he just accepted it, moved past it. And this guy doesn't even know how mindful he is.
Yeah, but
that's
you know,
the thing.
Some
You
people
know,
are born like this.
he just doesn't even realize
and
it.
I always say we're not in that person's head.
Right.
We don't know if so mindful, yes, he can be very mindful to the point where he sees those thoughts, knows they're there, and just chooses not to pay attention to them. I would never say that person doesn't have that negative thought beating on him, maybe, or pestering him a little bit.
Right.
He just doesn't feed that wolf.
Right.
He doesn't feed that negative subconscious, thought that wants to.
We have to start from square one, which is we are all human. So even that guy, he cannot be positive 100% of the time.
No, he's not. He has the valleys, except they're not the kind of valleys that you really, really dip in low.
The point of this is you should never no, I shouldn't say you should never.
Well, you're just saying, right? You can't stay up top all the time.
The point of this is not to. It's to understand that there are peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
But in this world, when you're dealing with mindfulness and awareness and talking about the subconscious mind like we're talking about today, what you do is you take those peaks and valleys and you shrink them. So your peaks aren't peaks and your valleys aren't valleys. It's more of a subtle wave than it is a sharp up and a sharp down. That doesn't mean that you don't enjoy the good times. You do, but you don't attach to the good times. You don't attach to the negative times. You just kind of flow through them. That's where you kind of flow through life with a little bit more ease as things happen. You enjoy it. This is great. Wow, this is awesome. Whatever the news is. Oh crap, this is not positive news. This is a very tragic event. This is like something I'm dealing with and I'm navigating. And then you come out of that, and then you might be flat and level for a while where things are just, they are, which is great. Things are, they are. Doesn't have to be, I don't have to be an 8 or 9 or a 10 today, right? Feeling wise, yeah. I could just be steady 6 or 7.
You know, it's a great litmus test. Somebody, if they're really positive and negative, alcohol. You get the people who are negative, depressed, angry, they become angrier and more depressed and possibly, confrontational.
Oh,
and the positive
it brings out
positive
your
people,
attributes.
Yeah, those positive
it
people.
Amplifies your
you give
attributes.
them some alcohol, man, and they're even more fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying go test yourself. No, I'm just saying if you're drinking around these people, you'll see that.
It'll amplify your whatever major attributes you have, or whatever however you're wired. It actually puts that in the forefront.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I agree. From my case, I've seen that. I've seen that from people.
Veritas.
What's that?
In Venus Veritas.
Yes, I had that sign in my house for years. It means in wine there is truth.
In wine there is truth.
In wine
there is truth, because when you drink,
that's very true.
You become. They say you become very honest. Also,
yeah, sure.
Because your filter goes bye bye.
I've only been drunk once in my life.
Me a handful of times,
and that
once, twice, 3 times.
What?
Yeah, drunk, like drunk.
John, I get to get 3 times in college, me and you.
That was it. Hold on. That was
I'll be crawling back to the room. What are you talking about?
That was it.
That was one. There was a couple of times
the last time I was drunk was in college. Drunk.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. I don't drink. I don't use. I've never used alcohol as a way to.
I think I was like 6.
No, but I don't use alcohol as a way to get hammered. But sometimes you socially.
How do you get hammered then? You have to use alcohol.
No, I'll tell you how. You socially drinking, and sometimes you don't realize where that line is.
I'm making a joke. You said I don't use alcohol to get hammered. Then how the fuck do you get hammered?
With a hammer.
There are ways.
With a hammer.
With a hammer.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But like getting back to what we were talking about, what you put in will get amplified and it'll come out. So like I implore people, pay attention to who you talk to.
That's it.
Pay attention to the people around you. Pay attention to who you keep company with. Pay attention to the books you read. Pay attention to the movies you watch.
Yep.
Pay attention to the TV shows you watch. Pay attention to the news channels you watch.
The podcast you listen to.
Pay attention to the podcast you listen to. And it's not to say that you can't explore a horror film. Like Eckhart Tolle has talked about, he goes, I don't see the point to them. And people enjoy them. He goes, why even poison your brain with things that are so horrific? And because while a majority of people, it might not affect them, there's a majority of people who it does affect negatively, right? He's like, and
I'll tell you.
I was kind of on the fence. I was like, I get what he's saying. I'm like, all right, I can't tell people what to watch, but I kind of understood his point. Like he's like, in other words, he's trying to say, what message are you sending to your subconscious mind right now? What input are you giving yourself? I'm sorry.
It's funny. We had this conversation the other night with my daughter. My daughter loves horror films, and I like them too. she watches them for the scare factor, and I watch them for different reasons. Because throughout my life, I've suppressed so many emotions where I become like numb to a lot of things. Like they don't bother me at all. I don't get scared easily. Things don't frighten me. And I like to search for something that does. That brings you that adrenaline feeling.
He actually talks about that too. It's great.
Does he? Okay, well, then we're on the right track then. Because for me, it gives me a feeling of fear that I don't normally have. For me, at least.
I can tell you what it does. It's not giving you a feeling of fear. It's bringing you into the present moment. It's exactly what it's doing.
You're going to have to explain a little further than that.
Okay.
Those couple of words aren't going to get it for me, pal.
Okay. So
Should I lay down?
people,
Yeah.
everybody on the couch. So people who go sky, and I'm going to use an example, but it's the same thing as what you.
Gotcha.
People who go skydiving want to drive fast race cars, or not. I'm not saying race car drivers, but people who are adrenaline junkies will use, right? Not junkies, adrenaline junkies. Like they need that. I got to be in the edge of life. I need to feel. People who go to bungee jumping, who go to those like horror, the haunted house places out here in Jersey,
ones,
the live people. Yeah, they go for the entertainment factor. And I'm not painting a brush. I see everybody, but a majority of those people go there because they want to feel. I'm going to use the word ready, alive. They want to feel.
Okay,
like, where's that rush?
I'll accept that. That's a good word.
That alive feeling.
That's a good word.
Is being brought into the present moment where you are just experiencing what is happening, but not really thinking anymore. Now you're just experiencing this thing. And people who don't have the awareness to I'm not saying you feel like that with everything you do, but people who don't have the awareness to watch what's going on and to try to experience something without mental dialogue sometimes do those things because it pushes them into that moment of thought stops. Now you're watching a movie and you're like, fear. Oh, you're not thinking. Now you're mesmerized by what's happening. You're stuck in that moment and you're like, I'm skydiving. All right. Yeah. You got to think when to pull the parachute. But as you're jumping out of the plane, you're like, you feel this rush of I'm alive. I'm here. Like all your thoughts, all your worries, every problem you had, every situation disappears. Everything goes away. And all of a sudden you feel like you're
holy shit.
Holy shit. And they do that because they want to feel that dialogue stops. And here I am. I'm feeling something. I
think adrenaline's like a drug, really.
That's
to
why
be honest.
junkies.
It's a drug that it feels so good, man. And then it goes away so quickly.
What do they call it?
It's like crack.
We talked about it. What do they call it? The chemical in your brain.
Oh, dopamine.
Dopamine. It's a dopamine. It's dopamine.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's a dopamine addiction. Yeah, addiction to dopamine. Well, you need to have that
100%.
feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So like what you were just saying, like you want to feel that fear because you don't scare easily.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I'm not therapizing you, but it's like you want to feel that like alive feeling.
Is it my mother's fault? Like you go to every therapist.
Chances
Well,
are.
Chances are,
Well,
yeah.
Anthony, let me tell you.
Exactly. You go to every therapist. It's like,
in my
what'd your
opinion,
parents do to you?
Your
Like,
mommy
thanks, but no
and
thanks.
daddy.
Well, Scott Adams on dopamine. Scott Adams was saying that be mindful of your dopamine. He says there are people.
Deplete it.
Well, there are people that are very depressive people, and they walk around.
Because if you don't have that high,
you don't have a dopamine, right? So he says, just make sure to give yourself a little jolt of dopamine every day. It gives your body, subconscious, it gives that.
How do you do that?
He says, enjoy something pleasant. He says, for example, my cup of coffee. I enjoy it. So it gives me a little dopamine hit. Just give yourself a little dopamine.
A walk.
Every day. A walk.
That's a dopamine.
You go to the gym, right?
Yeah, so dopamine's
you're
not
probably
adrenaline.
right, yeah.
It's not an adrenaline rush. Dopamine's different.
But I'm sure maybe adrenaline probably has to do something with your dopamine.
No, so your adrenal glands release when you're in a fight or flight, right? Dopamine is different. Dopamine is a chemical in our brains that makes you feel.
I'm not a biologist,
happy,
bro. I'm not even going to try to.
A pleasant.
Yeah,
it's a pleasant feeling.
What gives you a good feeling.
But adrenaline is actually like when you go into fight or flight and your muscles swell and that's an adrenaline rush.
I get it.
That's your body depleting. It has reserves of adrenaline and goes, fuck, tiger. And you go into mode right now, right? That's adrenaline, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there could be some cortisol with that, which is the stress.
See, I think there's adrenaline doing good things too. It's that adrenaline is that moment of you have to do something. There's no way out of this. Make a decision.
That's reaction.
Thing,
That's a reaction. Adrenaline comes when you have to react to something.
But I think that's programmed in him from years
Oh,
of
yeah.
his job.
Sure.
So every
What,
day,
the adrenaline, you mean?
every day you had a,
yeah.
every
It's
day you
like
had
taking a crack hit every day. Yeah.
right. So every day you had a different task. You had, I'm sure you had some desk part
Yeah,
of your
course.
job,
I was a boss, yeah.
but when you're on the field, that wasn't desk. That was that moment for
Yeah,
you.
man.
That was that we're going.
Man,
And a lot of what
the
you
ass smells different, bro.
That's the adrenaline.
You
yeah.
sometimes you'll do something and then later, meaning 10 minutes later, you'll see your hand shaking,
Absolutely.
and that's the adrenaline going, finally it's hitting you, but you didn't even realize it.
Well, that's the people who've gotten into accidents
like-
and get shot.
yeah,
They don't feel the pain because they have such an adrenaline rush. It
Yeah,
masks.
same thing, yeah.
It masks the
Well,
pain.
there
Then
are
when
people that they say, we have a lot of cops have 9mm bullets, but there are guys, emotionally disturbed persons who come at you with a knife, and a bullet doesn't stop them.
Right.
A couple of bullets, because they're so in their
Yeah,
rage and
yeah.
their adrenaline that a bullet isn't going to stop.
Right.
It just
One
doesn't-
won't do it.
No, they don't feel it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I think
It's a hell of a drug.
I think part of your enjoyment of these different movies and these different things that give you some adrenaline is possibly just programming from the past.
Yes, you're probably 100% right.
That
yeah.
just carries forward
Mhm.
because your body understands what it likes.
and
and it
I
likes
lost that. It got cut off.
Right.
And
But you want
I
it,
searched for it a
and you
little
like
bit. Yeah.
And that's probably what's going on.
Yeah, probably.
But even that you can change or alter or
Sure you
whatever.
can. Sure, by
Sure.
paying attention that you're looking for that adrenaline
Yeah.
rush or that that alive feeling, and realize you don't need to be scared by a movie, jump out of a plane.
Is this an
those could be, huh?
Is this an intervention for me?
No,
Anthony,
no. I'm saying,
you've been watching too many scary movies. We're gonna have to stop
well,
you.
a person could, whether you like jumping out of planes, watch scary movies, driving. I enjoy driving. I've driven cars
you're
on
an adrenaline
racetracks.
junkie too. You love speed.
I enjoy driving cars fast, but I do it not because I want to feel alive. I do it because I enjoy vehicles. I enjoy the engine. I enjoy the car, the dynamics of it. Not because I want my heart to pound and I want to get like. So I approach it for a different reason now. Maybe when I was younger, I didn't. I don't know.
It's different now.
But I approach it for like now. If I go to the racetrack up in the Poconos and I do 3 laps in the stock car, or when I had my car, my vet, and I took my vet around the track, I didn't do it because I wanted to feel a rush. I did it because I just wanted to experience being on a racetrack.
Yeah, but the rush came along with it.
The rush comes along, but I felt more alive before I started.
What you're saying is you didn't go into it looking for that. That's
no.
I understand what you mean. You didn't go into it looking for that. It just came as a secondary.
As you're going through it, sure, there will be an adrenaline dump at some
Yeah.
point because your body's human, right? Your body chemistry is going to be like, all right, we need to stay super alert, and it's going to bring you. But why are you doing something? Because like you just said, your mind, the human mind is smarter than we are, if that makes any sense, right? We can't outsmart our minds. Our minds are built to protect us. Our minds are built to do one thing only, wants to keep us alive. And if we don't pay attention to it, our subconscious mind has one code that everybody's from birth is given. So everybody's program is one base code: keep person alive. That's it. Then what you put on top of it as you get older is on the person and their environment. Everybody's got one: keep person alive.
That is so true.
Keep person alive. That's it. That's everybody's base operating system. That's iOS 1.
DOS.
That's
Yep. That's the blue screen.
boop. That little one, boop. Right? That's 0 and 1. The first 0 and 1, that's exactly what it is. Then what you put on top of it is on you. And the younger you start at inputting positive messages, or people around you who have a different outlook on life, a mindful outlook on life, or a non-toxic outlook on life, that's going to start to become your subconscious. Your subconscious mind is going to give you more of that. As you look through life, you're going to start seeing
I gotta find some people
the
like
positivity in the world, right? You're going to start seeing. You're going to start seeing the positivity in the world, right? So, like, I can sit here and I can make a case why the world's going to hell in a handbasket. My mind will not be short on examples of that.
Sure.
I could also make a case to why it's not.
Right.
Half full. Glass half full.
A lot of people will just see one. They can see, oh, the world's, it's everything. This person. Oh God, no, this for this reason or that reason, or this person or that person. What do you want to focus on? Right? If you've been programmed a certain way your whole life, you can't help that. But you still have a choice to say, do I want to turn the thermostat from 73 back to 71 where I like it? Or am I going to accept what my subconscious mind is saying, and this is how I'm going to stay. This is the default. My default is today I'm going to feel sad. Why? Because my mind says, look, there's days I wake up and I feel blah, low.
That's right.
Not sad, not depressed, not.
That's right.
But I can feel there's something, a little bit of there's like, I feel like, am I carrying a bag of rocks behind me right now? But what I do is I notice that my mind is saying, am I carrying a bag of rocks? I say, I really don't care if I'm carrying a bag of rocks. This is what I want to do today. So I shift my perspective and say, thank you, subconscious mind. But I'm actually going to find the color red. I'm not looking for burgundy. I'm not looking for brown. I'm not looking for maroon. I'm going to focus on red today. And that's where and all of a sudden, as the day goes on, the bag of rocks disappears. But conversely, if that bag of rocks is there in the morning and I feel, and I go, see, bag of rocks. See, I feel sad today. See, I feel low today. See, this sucks today.
Right.
This is the worst today.
You're feeding the wolf.
I mean, you're feeding the wolf. You're energizing you're energizing that message from your subconscious, which is going to make your subconscious mind go, see, I was right. I told you, John, 73. That's where you leave it. And that's how you're going to go throughout your day. And if you're not careful, that day becomes a week, a month, years. Now you're on, nothing against pharmaceuticals if they're needed. Now you're on a medication maybe for it. Now you're, going through you're trying to throw everything at the kitchen sink at it to try to make it go away when you realize there's nothing to go away. It's there. I'm not here to figure out why my mind feels like that today. And I don't care. If I have to invest the time in figuring out why my subconscious mind wants to tell me I feel a certain way today, I'm going to waste my day. You might spend 10 minutes on it because you're human. You're going to get stuck on it, or 15 minutes or 30 minutes. But at some point, you're going to go, wow, what am I doing? Okay, where am I going right now? I'm doing this. And you start to refocus, and instead of having the subconscious mind suck your energy, again, it's not trying to, like, people say, well, I don't get these guys. They're saying that our minds are out to fuck us. No, it's trying to protect you. I always say the mind protects you, but in the most awkward and sometimes unhelpful ways.
Unproductive.
Great.
Your mind is not there to be productive. Your mind is there to keep you alive.
That's
so
it. Not
it
even to make
sends
you
you
happy.
stories.
It's not even there to make you happy or anything.
It sends you stories. That's why you're watching the stories. Hence the watcher. You're watching the stories. You are not the story. And that's the part where, look, this is an area where I think I made most of my growth in by just noticing the subconscious. Bob Proctor.
Scott Proctor?
Bob Proctor, really, for me, when he drew a diagram, okay? I wish right around now we could draw a diagram. So the way the diagram is it's a circle, and he says, so he drew a circle and he drew a little body on the circle. Let this circle represent your mind, your head. And the little body just basically has a big head. And he cut it in half. And he labeled the bottom half subconscious. And he labeled the top half conscious. And he says, it's what you put in here that will manifest its way up here.
What you put in the subconscious will manifest in the conscious.
That's it. He says, so I take that and listen to what Scott Adams says. He goes, you can author your own reality. You can author your own simulation. How do you do that? By the inputs you put into your subconscious. Same rules apply. So if I spend all my day not knowing that I must give my subconscious stuff to alter my conscious, people will give you stuff for you, whether you want it or not.
Yeah, it's just incoming, yeah.
You're out there driving, you're going to work, you arrive at work, whatever you listen to on the way to work, whatever you heard on the way to work.
This is why I listen to Eckhart Tolle when I work out.
You're going to the gym. While at the gym, who you converse with literally. How about something so benign?
And we're not perfect.
No.
We're not perfect. So nobody's going to get this right 100% of the times.
Well, I'm giving you.
I just want to put that.
Yeah, I'm giving you everything. So like, I'll go home. My poor wife came home from a very difficult job, and I listened to her. And she's a teacher in the inner city, so I listen. And when I listen, I'm not a good listener that listens off to the. No, I'm in it. I'm listening.
You absorb it.
So, and that's dangerous because that's what makes you an empath. You're a good listener,
and you could get sucked to your energy if you're not careful.
Sucked in.
If you're not careful, you could cut that off. You could be there, but not give any energy to that story. Yeah.
So these are the dances you have to do with your subconscious, because subconscious, we're listening, but we're not recording. We're not recording. I don't want you to record this.
So
one.
how do you suggest that people adjust their subconscious?
By inputs. Inputs is really inputs, and also
Give me more.
I'll give you more. When you go to bed at night,
Mm-hmm.
you don't just go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
You go to bed with your earphones in, and you have
I was going to say, yeah, go ahead.
and you have a Bob Proctor or a Joe Dispenza, an Eckhart Tolle that is feeding your subconscious
Positivity.
Yeah, people have done that, tape recorders, and that's
You name it.
That's actually
Okay.
that's an old
author
trick, yeah.
your own simulation.
Also, probably a lot of the TV shows you watch.
Well, yeah, I think that's a good one to go if you're going to sleep. Like, so people like to put TV on when they go to sleep, or the news on. I've gone to sleep when I've gone to PA, and my wife's not, because my wife likes it dark and quiet. But when I've gone to PA and it's just me up there, I'll go to. I have an Alexa next to my bed. I'll tell Alexa, play. I won't say too loud because she'll start. Play Eckhart Tolle, right? And I'll get a list of.
Read that.
Put on headphones, play, program, and repeat, repetition, habituation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is on.
And I'll listen to that.
That's on my calendar, and it repeats.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Repeats daily.
So that's exactly how you do it. Then that's why I asked.
But okay, but what works for him
Mm-hmm.
for that might not be like you might do it and go, I'm not enjoying it.
That's not for me. But there are other ways.
You may have your way.
The other ways might be pay attention to the people. So this is for people out there. Pay attention to the people you surround yourself with.
Definitely.
Right? I know we love our family. I know we love our friends. But if you feel like people in your family and your friends are sucking your energy dry because you're on a different level, you're trying to author your own reality, trying to create your own story, right? If you feel they are, and I know we can't write people out of our lives, nor do we want to,
right.
But you could limit your exposure to certain things.
That's right.
And this isn't about, well, what does that mean? That you can't be, you're going to run away from anything that's tough in life? No. I'm not going to expose myself where willingly I have a choice and the ability to not be in a situation where I'm exposing myself and my mind to toxicity, to negativity. But like, not because I don't want to be around negative anything. It's because why do I have to be around this negative right now? Why do I got to sit at this room and at this table with these people right now who are bitching and moaning, complaining about life, complaining about every politician, every person, how life sucks, how this is the worst. I'm going to quietly get up and I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to the table where maybe somebody's having a normal conversation if I'm at a social event, or I'm going to go sit by myself,
or something that I do want to
engage into.
No, change the mood or the direction of the conversation.
There's times where you can't change your environment, but when you can change your environment, you can change your environment. Pay attention. What's the first thing you put on in the morning when you wake up? Is it the news? Is it a sports radio? Is it a meditation? And I'm not saying you have to meditate in the morning, but what's the first thing you do? What's the second thing you do? When you go to work, who are the people you talk to on the way to work? What are you listening to? When you come home, what are you absorbing? Is there anything? Are you exposing yourself to anything that's going to help rewire that subconscious mind? Remember, when they say subconscious, it's the same like advertising, right? We've spoken about this before, where they'll quietly throw hints on something, or they'll change the color of something to try to grab your attention and make you want it.
How about Seinfeld, when they used to put a can of Coke or
Yes.
something? That was like one of the first series. They got paid for subliminal advertising.
But that's subliminal
where
messages.
They would put like a can of, let's say, Sprite or something. Sprite would pay them in the scene to have that Sprite there.
100%.
Subconsciously, you're like, Seinfeld's having a Sprite.
I'm going to have
maybe
a Sprite.
I want a Sprite. That's how it works.
E.T. when they order Pizza Hut.
Yes.
Same thing.
So it's so that's advertising 101, which, by the way, this country is very good at, which is our biggest downfall, if you ask me, because we destroy our nation by marketing them instead of helping them. But that's besides the point. How's it going with this? I'm doing Donald Trump right now. I didn't even realize it. My hands are going like this.
You're doing a lot of hand movement.
I'm Italian as I'm doing it.
You want a good one? So, as you know, because I think maybe even you do have, I have a gift and a curse of being a good listener. But if I listen, I listen. And maybe whatever you're feeling, I feel. So there was a guy at work. I want to remain vanilla nameless. So
absolutely,
there was a guy at work who used to talk to me about his marital issues. Now, I like to pride myself, actually, like both of you, I pride myself in that I have a good marriage. I have a healthy marriage, like one that I like to actually gloat about because I think it's like great. Okay. So if I have that situation at home, I'm listening to this guy very empathically at work.
Saying the opposite of what you have.
The opposite. So I'd go home and my wife would be like, how was your day? We touch on the day. By the way, I was not conscious at this moment. I was not aware. My awareness was 0. So I would tell her, you know, poor Anthony, he's going through some stuff. Really? Yeah, you know, his wife. Oh my God, you're kidding me. Oh my God, then she did this. Oh, the next day I get new fresh stories. Come home. So, how's Anthony? Oh, poor bastard. Oh my God. Well, yesterday.
Hey, you start to feel for these people.
The next day I come back. And before I know it, I'm in my house where we had peace and serenity. And now there's negativity
Because you brought that energy
in my house.
Yeah.
Like, why you got to be like that? And, you know,
But did it bring negativity between you and your wife, or is it just a conversation? Really?
it starts.
Because what does it do? Subconsciously, it slowly
It goes to
that
work.
story goes to work in your mind, and now you start looking for things in your relationship that's happening in your life that mimic that, and you start saying, "No, why does my wife do that sometimes?
See,
why
I
is she like this
have a different
sometimes?"
reaction to that. I look at people who have problems, and I might talk to them with my wife about it, and we are relieved that we don't have those problems. Look how positive, we have a positive relationship.
Yeah,
and
but
then you end it
he's not saying
with
that
a kiss, and that's it.
But he's not saying that him and his wife like got at words,
Right,
or,
no,
right,
but
but all of a sudden
you could feel it's in the room where it never was.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it was, so here's one thing. So
I mean, remember what you said before: comparison is a thief of joy.
It is.
So even be careful if you compare your relationship to somebody else's.
So you
It's a
should.
tra- it
You're not
becomes
going to
a
get
trap.
joy out of that comparison,
It's a
meaning
trap,
the opposite way.
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like you're comparing your lives to somebody else's miserable life.
So you
shouldn't get
you were
joy
saying
out of
how
that.
you had it in
So
your house, and
once I realized,
you became aware
because I wasn't aware.
You were,
Because even I became, this is like my pre-aware awareness where I said, John, look at ourselves from 20,000 feet. Okay. This is that same feeling where I brought this into my house. This stops now. So I went to work the next day. I listened to Anthony tell me about his stuff, but I did not repeat it when I got home.
That's the key.
And when my wife said, how's Anthony? I'd be like, it's all right. He's still having problems. I'm sure.
Because
no wolf will be fed.
You were empathetic for him, listened for him, and that's where you left it. Because once you take that, that's where the energy vampire becomes. And so you bring that, once you absorb that story, now you start repeating it. Now, I'm not saying that we don't find something out if there's a problem with a dear friend that maybe you don't want to counsel with your wife. How can we help this person? They're in need of help.
Yeah.
Different story.
It's an event.
That's a different story.
Right.
I haven't had that experience.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll say it as I haven't.
I think, me and my wife don't like, unless it's something that a friend is in crisis right now and we need to intervene, we need to help that person. Let's put our heads together. What can we do? Okay. Different story. Right now it's almost go mode. We're in helping mode. So if I hear a story about person A and person B, like I told my wife, like, I go, I'm a vault. Like, do you know how much shit that I've never told you that people have told me about? And I go, it's not because I don't want to tell you, because there's no need to discuss it here. Because then our conversation becomes, wow, what's going on with them? And like you said, that quietly can rewrite a little bit of a code in the back of your mind, where not that you're fighting with your wife or you're arguing with her, or you're not getting along with her, but things will also feel different.
Yeah.
There's a different energy at times. And then you're going to you're going to go to work the next day and be like, oh, I just had my wife was fucking busting my balls today. You've never said that before, maybe. Right. And that's never been a way that you've acted before. And all of a sudden you say that, right?
It's just
I would look at it as a pitfall, not necessarily something that'll automatically, because honestly, I don't.
That's what it is. It's not automatically going to happen, but it's a pitfall that can happen.
It's something that could transpond because of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All I'm trying to say is, whatever you bring into your subconscious, Bob Proctor says your subconscious goes to work.
By the way, you have no control over that. Like we control what goes in, but once it's in, we don't see its fruits until it goes like this.
Yeah, your
There you go.
subconscious goes to work.
Until your subconscious goes, pie is ready. Do you want to eat it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm baking. Here you go.
He repeats a story that I'm going to tell you here. Have you heard of the Earl Nightingale?
I've heard of Earl Nightingale.
The secret of the world, the world's best kept secret, something like that.
Okay.
Something like that, and it's a classic thing. I highly recommend. You know what? I'm going to find it. We should post it on Universal Lens.
Okay.
It is so crucial for everybody to listen to, but especially the younger you are, the better. He says there was a farmer who had land, fertile land. In that fertile land, anything grows. So he took a seed of corn and he planted it. And right next to it, right next to the seed of corn, he planted nightshade. Nightshade is a poisonous.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Both grew from the same. So which one do you want to plant? Nightshade or the corn?
Or the corn.
The metaphor there that I completely butchered is that your mind is like the fertile soil.
Yeah.
What seed are you putting in?
What seed do you want to
Gotcha.
cultivate?
Mhm.
And so, because the mind will give you both. The land will give you both.
Yeah, the mind has no problem cultivating anything. Okay, you want to give me this? What? You want apple pie? There you go. You want pumpkin pie? What do you want? I'm not here to, but it's what you're putting in. Like this, like I said before, you're born. The one seed that we have when we're born, that's given to us by the laws of nature, is keep person alive. That's and we don't realize that until we get older, but as we're learning. But like that's our one code as we get old. Keep person alive. That's it. That's the one seed that we don't put in. That's given to us. Everything else is what we put in.
That's right.
Is what we put in. So if you're putting toxic stories, if you put it, that's what you're gonna.
Right.
That's gonna be why you feel maybe more negative, or the initial thought is a negative thought. And listen, if you're at my age or our age, right? And you're in mid late 40s, early 30s, or early 50s, 60s, it doesn't matter. And you've written that code in, and that code is there and strong. By the way, it can still change.
Yep.
And all it takes is you to realize that the story your mind is telling you is just a story that is because the information that you've given it, and this is a story it's giving you. You don't have to listen to it.
Awareness.
It's awareness. This is where awareness comes in. So your subconscious mind, you control what goes in. You don't control how it comes out, but what you put in is going to be what you get out is going to be a direct result of what you put in it.
Right.
But with awareness, you get to see it, understand it, watch it, and be like, okay, you know what? No, this isn't for me. Thank you, but I don't want this. Thank you, but I don't want this. And now you start to change the tide slowly, and you start inputting a Bob Proctor.
That's right.
Or a Tony Robbins, or a life coach you like on Instagram, or a spiritual teacher you follow, or religious a religious person you follow.
Play us in the background. Honestly, go to work, play us in the background. Whatever we say is going to stick to your subconscious, and there will be fruits growing from that, because obviously we touch on a lot of things, but we're big mindfulness pushers, so that you can raise your awareness. If you can raise your awareness through what we do here, this is why we do what we do. So it costs you nothing, requires almost zero effort. Let it play in the background. That's how easy you can affect your subconscious. It's playing in the background. I'm not paying attention to it, but it's playing in the background. That's all you need. Just that alone might be enough. And before we close up, as you grow, as you move on in this journey, you pick up little things, and you tend to tweak your behaviors because you feel it's more beneficial, it's more positive for whatever it is, whatever experience you're trying to have. So, like, I once looked into mindfulness in Spanish. So how do I deliver the message in Spanish, right? How do I say mindfulness? How do I right? A lot of dialogue that goes into it, so that I can, if I'm speaking to somebody who doesn't speak English, just speak Spanish, I can sort of successfully convey to them what it is. And I remember one of the tenets of mindfulness that I only saw it in Spanish was no complaining. you do not complain.
Well, that's
The complaint is gone.
Yeah, that's a big one in English too.
So right. Well, so try. We're all human. We're going to complain. I get it. Even you might not know it, but you're going to complain. Try not to complain.
Me?
Try to eliminate complaining.
Or catch on once you are.
And the reason for that is not because you're holier than thou, not because, but because complaining is a
form of.
It's working in reverse from what you want to do with your subconscious.
You're brainwashing yourself.
You want to play. You want to plant corn. You don't want to plant
the nightshade.
Mm-hmm.
Complaining, when you complain, you're planting.
That's it.
Technically, the nightshade.
You're the other person hearing you.
Yeah. 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 That's true.
The person you're telling it to probably doesn't give a shit. Your own mind is locking it in for sure.
Yeah. That's why I'm a big proponent of not bitching and moaning about things when they happen. Not that I repress them. I allowed them to happen and be there. I fucking hate them most of the time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I sit there and go, oh, isn't this lovely? I'm going to have a colonoscopy today. This is great. No, I hated it. I'm going to sit there and go, oh my God, this is the worst. I got to go through this. Right. It sucks balls. It sucks. Yeah, you could be joking in a conversation and go, oh, here we go, guys. It's like, you could make light of a situation. But if you make it the end of the world and you're bitching and moaning about it, your mind, your subconscious mind, all you're doing is fortifying that trait is complaining about something. Like I know people, and we had an episode on complaining early on, right? And I said, I spoke to somebody once and I said, do you realize everything you do, everything you say is usually, it starts off as a complaint about something? She goes, we got to talk about something. I said, well, that's a very scary thing to say. I'd rather sit here in silence and not say nothing to you for a half hour than complain for the simple reason of I'm poisoning myself every time I complain. I'm not helping myself.
Well, let me ask you this.
Complaining isn't venting. Venting is different. You want to talk to somebody about something and like, God, listen, this happened to me today. I just need somebody to talk to about it. Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying if that person that you're talking to feels like she needs to complain to start a conversation, maybe it's our responsibility to start the conversation with something positive and steer it in that direction. Some people feel uncomfortable with silence, and sometimes they'll just bring up something that's going on in their lives just to have banter.
They might.
I've had that.
Yeah, just to have banter.
Many times.
So if you're that mindful person, maybe you bring up something before this person wants to just bullshit.
Well, not even before, even if they complain about something.
Oh yeah, or steer it, or steer it.
But what happens if you try to
them to it with something positive?
What happens if they try to steer it? You try to steer it, and they go back to complaining. And they try to steer, go back to complaining. At some point, I'm going to go like this:
yes,
no mas.
That's it.
I'm not here. Also, I'm not here to be I'm here to be a soundboard. But I'm trying to steer the conversation away from complaining and like reframing it. Yeah, but we needed the rain anyway.
I think a reasonable person will see that and then catch up, catch along. Yeah, I think a reasonable person, maybe after 2-3 times,
you're giving people a lot of credit.
Yeah,
you are.
I guess.
That's good. You're giving people a lot of credit.
And you know why I think you're giving people a lot of credit? Because you're thinking about it rationally right now.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, and I'm speaking for myself, the complainer, when you're in it, you're not complaining. You need to. But you're right. But
like I said, some people complain just to talk.
Yeah,
that's their form of conversation.
Yeah, but even that is what I try to bring awareness to. Instead, is notice what you're doing. Instead of me trying to tell you, give you another story to feed on. Why does every conversation have to start that you're bitching?
Most people don't even realize they're doing it.
But they don't realize they're doing it. They don't. And if they don't, you could try to bring their awareness to it. But complaining is and that becomes an ingrained subconscious thought pattern. Like I hear something. Oh, did you hear this? Oh, this is the worst. Did you hear what they said about Donald Trump? Did you hear what they said about Joe Biden? Did you hear what they said about this guy?
But is that complaining? Or is that just banter?
No. Banter is different. Banter is you having a conversation. Complaining is this. Did you fucking hear what they said about him? The nerve that they said that. That's ridiculous. I've had enough of these fucking left wing.
I guess if you keep going over and over.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. That doesn't bother you? Well, no. What can I do about that? I don't. Okay. So they said something about him. I'm not going to complain about it because what was anything resolved? No. Am I going to stop somebody from bitching and moaning about this guy, that guy? Or what's happening? No. Me complaining, this happened to me today. I said, venting is different. If you want to speak to somebody, either a therapist or a close friend, to go, I just found out that my wife is cheating on me. I just need somebody to talk to. Hey, yo, come on.
That's not a lot of therapists are for.
But hold on. But that's not complaining. That's not like saying, that bitch, she's this, and she's
Right.
that, and she's the nerd. I can't stand her.
That's
She's
gonna
the paid
lead
money.
to it,
That's
but-
complaining, which it can grow to that. But if you have the person who's a good soundboard on the other end, they're going to keep you away from there and be like, hey, I get it.
Right.
Okay, so what happened? Tell me. I'm
Right,
here to
right.
listen. Whatever you're feeling right now. You're feeling angry. I get it. You're feeling, and that's okay to feel angry. I would try to keep that person. Don't let it poison you. Don't let her actions poison you. Like that's where. If I was talking to a friend, that's where I would go with that. I go, you're going to allow her actions. You could feel the anger. Let it come and flow. But if you hold on to it and take it for a ride, I go, you're going to poison yourself for something that person did. So there's a difference between venting and complaining. I don't know how we ended up on this, but anyway.
But here's a
It
useful.
was a good way to end.
Here's a useful tip from my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law.
Yeah,
Bobby. All right. So he has his
Sensei Bobby.
Right. He's got his own school, MMA, and I had just started in real estate, so it was a little less than a year ago. I had just started in real estate, and I understand that last year for realtors was a horror show. All right. So his office is down. His place is down the road from my place.
Yeah.
So I go over to him and say, we're just hanging out. And I said, so, man, real estate's really bad right now. How's it going for you? And he goes, we've been steady. I go, man, the economy hasn't affected you? And he goes, we don't talk about that in here. I said, and I told him immediately, I go, I like it.
What does he do for a living? His finance?
He's a sensei.
He's a sensei. Owns a dojo.
He's
Owns
a
dojo.
martial
we
arts.
don't talk about
And
that.
we don't talk about that in here.
We don't talk
Because
about
we
that.
put our energy into not what's going wrong
That's
or what can go
fantastic. I
wrong,
go, good for you.
but in what we're doing here right now.
Good for you.
And that's
Well,
actually
he's got a set of rules to keep people.
yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, but that's a mindset, right? And that's a lot. You see a lot of that in martial arts and stuff. A mindset. Like that.
I love that. Right there. He goes, I like that answer.
So, but apply that to anything,
That's
whatever's
right.
happening, whatever. So you have two choices. You could go down the victim road, or you could go down the create your own story road.
Right.
So pay attention to what you put in your minds, kids.
Absolutely.
Garbage in. When I was a kid, it was garbage in, garbage out. That holds true to today. It's that simple. We talked about it for an hour, but it's basically garbage in, garbage
And
out.
author your own reality.
Author your own reality.
Put in the stuff that you want
Yep.
to plant. What seed do you want to plant? Put that in there. And
Watch it grow
Yeah.
over time. And if a weed grows up, pluck the weed and
And
keep
smoke
moving.
it.
That's it. Smoke it.
How you doing? Nobody moves. Nobody gets hurt.
I don't know. I stuck in my head.
yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
That's great.
It's crazy.
Oh, good beans, man. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. Who knew? Hey,
right.
you learn something
Thank
new
you.
every
See
day.
Oh, okay.
You gonna end it?
All right. Yeah, I think
we
we're
look
good.
at you like Milo.
On the egg foo young, we'll end it there. And all right, we're good. All right,
Yeah,
guys, have a
fun
great week.
episode.
See you guys next time.
Ciao.
And peace. The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.